The necessity of using can lights specifically listed for sloped ceilings, even with a low slope, is absolute. While the cutout in the ceiling itself usually remains consistent in size regardless of the slope steepness, a low slope introduces different considerations. The primary distinction arises from the absence of a required baffle inside the can when dealing with a slight slope. A baffle's purpose is to mitigate glare from the bulb. Without it, the light source is more directly visible, potentially causing discomfort. Ensure that the trim selected for the can light assembly has adequate space to compress properly against the ceiling surface. Compression is vital for a secure fit and to prevent light leakage around the edges of the trim. When evaluating whether a standard can light is suitable for a low-sloped ceiling, several factors should be considered. Firstly, the degree of the slope plays a crucial role. A very slight incline might not necessitate the use of specialized fixtures, as the angle of the light emitted will not be significantly different from that of a standard installation. Secondly, consider the intended use of the room and the desired lighting effect. If the space requires task lighting or a high level of illumination, glare control becomes even more important. Thirdly, the type of bulb being used influences the amount of glare produced. Certain bulbs, such as those with a frosted finish or a recessed design, will produce less glare than others. Fourthly, the trim selection is critical. Trims designed for sloped ceilings often have an adjustable gimbal that allows the bulb to be angled, directing the light downwards and minimizing glare. If using a standard can light, ensure that the trim chosen provides sufficient coverage and a snug fit against the ceiling. Fifthly, local building codes and regulations must be consulted to determine if there are any specific requirements for lighting installations in sloped ceilings. Local jurisdictions might have specific guidelines or restrictions regarding the types of fixtures that can be used. Sixthly, consider consulting a qualified electrician or lighting designer to assess the specific situation and provide recommendations. These professionals have the expertise to evaluate the slope, lighting needs, and building codes to determine the most appropriate solution. Now, let's delve deeper into the potential issues and benefits of using standard can lights in low-slope ceilings. Firstly, glare is a significant concern. Without a baffle or adjustable trim, the direct light from the bulb can be distracting and uncomfortable, especially in living spaces or areas where visual tasks are performed. Secondly, light distribution might be uneven. In sloped ceilings, the angle of the light can create shadows and uneven illumination if not properly addressed. Thirdly, standard can lights might not be designed to dissipate heat as effectively in a sloped orientation. This could potentially lead to overheating and reduced bulb lifespan. Fourthly, aesthetic considerations come into play. Specialized can lights for sloped ceilings often have a more refined appearance and can be better integrated into the overall design of the room. Fifthly, installation might be more challenging with standard can lights in sloped ceilings. Ensuring a secure and flush fit can require additional effort and adjustments. On the other hand, there are potential benefits to using standard can lights in low sloped ceilings. Firstly, they are typically less expensive than specialized fixtures. Secondly, they are more readily available in a wider variety of styles and finishes. Thirdly, if the slope is minimal and the lighting requirements are not critical, standard can lights can provide adequate illumination without significant issues. When selecting can lights for any application, it's important to consider several key factors. Firstly, the type of housing should be appropriate for the ceiling construction. Insulation contact IC rated housings are designed to be in direct contact with insulation, while non-IC rated housings require a specific amount of clearance. Secondly, the size of the housing should be compatible with the available space in the ceiling. Thirdly, the type of bulb used should be energy efficient and provide the desired level of illumination. LED bulbs are a popular choice due to their long lifespan and low energy consumption. Fourthly, the trim should be selected based on the desired aesthetic and functionality. There are a variety of trim styles available, including recess, eyeball, and wall wash trims. Fifthly, the wiring should be properly installed and comply with all applicable electrical codes. It is always recommended to hire a qualified electrician to perform electrical work. To further elaborate on the importance of proper installation, consider the following points. Firstly, ensure that the power is turned off at the circuit breaker before starting any electrical work. Secondly, carefully follow the manufacturer's instructions for installing the CAN lights. Thirdly, use the appropriate wire connectors and grounding techniques. Fourthly, inspect the wiring for any damage or loose connections. Fifthly, test the installation after completion to ensure that it is working properly. Now let's discuss some common mistakes to avoid when installing CAN lights. Firstly, do not overload the circuit. Calculate the total wattage of all the lights on the circuit and ensure that it does not exceed the circuit's capacity. Secondly, do not use undersized wiring. Use wiring that is rated for the amperage of the circuit. Thirdly, do not install CAN lights too close to combustible materials. Maintain the required clearance specified by the manufacturer. Fourthly, do not neglect to properly insulate around the CAN lights. This will help to prevent heat loss and condensation. Fifthly, do not forget to obtain the necessary permits and inspections from the local building department. In summary, while specialized CAN lights for sloped ceilings offer advantages in terms of glare control and light distribution, standard CAN lights can be a viable option for low-slope applications if careful consideration is given to factors such as slope angle, lighting requirements, bulb type, and trim selection. Always prioritize safety and compliance with local building codes when installing any type of lighting fixture. If you are unsure about any aspect of the installation process, consult a qualified electrician or lighting designer.